G'day guys, welcome to another episode of the Pumped on Property Show. Now this is a bit of a shorter one today, but Simon and I look at two really simple strategies to go from where you are today to a millionaire in the next 15 years. Now, one of them's as simple as just buying one property. The other idea we look at is 3 properties, but as always, we completely go off path. Talk about whatever we're passionate about at the moment, which is always helping other people, living the best lives possible and living a life filled with choices. So I don't know how this one will stick for you guys, but I had a really fun time chatting about all this stuff with you, bro, and I'm excited.
Let's get stuck into it. It's fun.
The desire to achieve something and to create freedom for myself and for my family and for the future and a life filled with choices is a great place to start. And the easiest way to do that is to just fucking make money through investing and then figure out what you really want to do after that.
Yeah, because it's making money for you while you're sleeping as well. Like, it's not like a job where you're going for a paycheck and you got to show up for those hours to earn that money. It's happening in the background. It's happening at night time while you sleep. Like, you know, at the moment, I've got a little bit of crypto there, and some mornings I'll wake up and it's gone up by like 20%. I'm like, what the fuck? Next day it's gone down by 22%. I'm like, damn. But you know, it's nice to know that there's something chipping away for you in the background. I think that's what a lot of people are choosing to invest for as well. It's to have that money coming in even when you're not willing to work anymore. And you know, for me, it was a little bit different. Like, it took me a long time to figure out what I was good at and what I was going to do with my life. And, you know, basically from like 17, 18 years of age until like 24, you know, I was educating myself like at TAFE, at university, just going through that period of life where I was, same as you, like earning $200-300 per week. Maybe in the holidays, I'd increase that to like $600 or $700 per week. But at the time, in the area where I grew up, every single one of my mates went down the trade route. Like every single one of my close friends went down the trade path at 16, 17 or 18 years of age. So by the time they're, you know, 20, they've finished their trade, they're working full time, earning, you know, back then 70, 80 grand per year. And here's me on like $15,000, $20,000 per year. And I still wanted to do all the things, you know, I still wanted to go out on the weekends. I still wanted to go traveling and things like that. I managed to figure out a way to work. It will work thanks to Davo, who shouted me most weekends. But like, I was watching these people and there was this real disdain inside of me, and I was like, fuck, maybe you should have just gone and done a trade. Maybe you should have just gone and done a trade. Like, look at all your mates, they're all killing it, they're all doing well. But I just knew that it wasn't the right path for me, and I knew if I find out what I'm good at and what the world needs, then I'm going to have a much more enjoyable life, and I'll be able to speed up all of those years that I missed out on. And, you know, fortunately, I found property investing. Fortunately, I found the passion for being a buyer's agent and helping other people do it. And, you know, being able to really accelerate that journey through investments. But I never had that desire to become a millionaire. Like, there was never really a driver for me that was like...
It makes you, I feel like such a dickhead now, looking back at my previous self. Like, he would be looking at me now and going, you pussy.
You pussy, yeah.
And me now is just like, dude, you were such a tool. And it's like, and that is the tension of life. It's the yin and the yang. It's the light and the dark. And it's just, I think now whatever gets you out of bed in the morning and moving in the right direction of the person that you're going to become is a great thing. And I think about it now, it's like, you know, I don't know why I was wired like that. I think I was just wired with a chip on my shoulder to go and prove to myself that like I was worthy or I wanted to achieve something. And now I'm a little bit further down the line. I'm like, I recognize investing for what it is. It's a game. And as you get older, like, my best soccer days are behind me, without a doubt. That was the only other game that I was ever half good at. And half good at it best.
You were pretty damn good, don't you?
Yeah,
short.
I've been watching too much EPL, and I'm like,
yeah,
the
there is levels to this
changed,
shit. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the game, as I've gotten older, is like has moved to investing, and the investment game is based on a very clear set of rules. And the better you understand those rules, the better decisions you can make, and the better decisions you make, all of a sudden the better financially your life becomes.
And I think the two biggest rules, and this is from Warren Buffett, the first thing that you need to understand about investing is time in the market is the most important aspect of investing. The more time you've got access to compound growth, the sooner that you'll get to where you want to be, the sooner that you'll become a millionaire. Then
just be a boomer. That's the perfect example of time in the market. Just buy
classic Gen X millennial comment.
Just any, and we work with heaps of boomers. I love them. I'm probably like more boomer mentality than like
you
my
definitely
gen.
are, for sure.
But it's just like, just buy good shit and hold it long term, and you will end up so wealthy.
You know, like the story of our grandparents, like, you know, Opar bought the house in DY for £6,000 or something crazy like that.
It's written in one of the books up there, actually, like it's inside the note.
And I can't remember what year it was, but it would have been the 50s. And
that 1892 or something.
And they sold it after, you know, both parents had passed away, unfortunately. Well, once, you know, one moved into a home, but it was $2.2 million they sold it for in like 2016. So it was only
all four of the kids.
Yeah, it was like less than 60 years that they held it for. And it went from £6,000, which would have been $12,000 at the time, all the way up to $2.2 million, which is just wild to think that time in the market, just buying and holding for the long term, it just always works out for people.
And that was a 2-bedroom shack on a main road across from a sporting oval, like such a sick spot.
Yeah, it was.
Growing up. But, you know, it wasn't even the fundamentals that we now follow or know. And it's like, I think time in the market's number one. And what was the second one?
Timing the market. So
timing.
Which there's a lot to that as well. It's you know, identifying the right market, the right suburb, the right property within that suburb at the right price. So spending your money wisely. And if you can do both of those, if you're starting in your 20s or 30s or even early 40s and you've got decades to wait, you know, if you can have that time in the market, but then also make the right decision, like buying in Sydney in 2010 or buying in Melbourne in 2005 or buying in Brisbane in sort of 2016, 17, you know, hindsight's a beautiful thing. We only have it once we've got it. But, you know, if we were to look back, I think everybody would have chosen those markets at those times in the past.
Or Melbourne in 2025.
Well, yeah, once we fast forward another 10 years from now, I think we'll be saying that for sure.
Without a doubt. So, you know, time in the market and timing the market. And it's a lot easier to do time in the market. It's a lot easier to buy good quality stuff that you can afford using fundamentals and then and waiting around. So in terms of a couple of these different ideas for today on how to become a millionaire through property, and I think 15 years is a relatively short period of time. Like, it doesn't feel like it is when you're 20, but when you're 30, you know, or 40, you know, the next 15 years, you're most likely committed to maybe a partner, maybe kids, more serious career or businesses. Like, it's sort of that stage where, you know, you might get a little bit more serious in one way or another. And not so much serious, like hopefully the opposite of that, but more stable.
Yeah, stable, I think, is the right word. And 20-year-olds and people that don't have kids just will not understand this in any way, shape or form, because you just don't think about it until you're there. But literally once your youngest goes to school, you know, you're just being mum and dad and you're just doing whatever you need to do to support those kids for that, 12 or 15 years of schooling that they're going to be going through. So
maybe 15 for you because you repeated 3 times. So I think it's 12 or 13.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you're just stuck. And I think a lot of people chase this feeling of like, oh, I need to do it now. Like, their kid gets born and they're like, I need to earn the money now. I need to double down now so that once my kid's 10 years old, I'm going to be free. And it's like, well, that's cool if that's what you want to do. But also, once your kids are in school, you're going to be slowing down a fair bit. And what are you going to do 5 days a week when your kids aren't around?
What do you do?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I will work.
I'll tell you what I do, because all of my kids are at this stage. I was just thinking about it for a laugh. I have sauna, I ice bath, I train, I surf poorly. I enjoy hanging out with my little kids. I'm a human taxi. I drive them around. But I love holidaying, and I'm so stable. Like, I come in here, but I don't come in here to just make cash anymore. I come in here because I believe that if you can find something that you're good at, that you were born to do, that also helps the world in a positive way and gives you purpose through your day job, that's the silver bullet.
That's
Like,
the
living
dream.
a simple life that is present day to day without looking too far into the past and just projecting that into the future, and also looking too far into the future and just feeling like super anxious and like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. It's a beautiful phase of life. Like, the kids still want to hang, you know, the kids are growing up and becoming more independent, and it's a beautiful thing.
But let's say like somebody at your stage of life where, you know, you're in 40 this year, you know, all of your kids are in school, you've got your own home, it's got a shit ton of equity, you're in a financial position. I'm not saying this is you personally, but this is a lot of the people that I'm talking to right now. The vast majority of people that are listening to this right now are in that scenario, and, you know, maybe they've got $1 million worth of servicing. What do they do to become a millionaire in the future?
Yeah, so obviously there's a whole bunch of people at different stages listening to this. Some of them own their own homes, others are first timers. A lot of them already own multiple investment properties, and are just like, fuck, Ben and Simon are just talking a whole lot of smack right now. But in terms of the strategy, there's two simple ways to get there. If I just wanted to do something really easy, and you've got $1 million of borrowing capacity, which means your household income's probably between, 200 and 400K per year, which that's a big combined income, but there's a lot of people out there now post the last few years that are earning that sort of money in the IT world, engineering world, accounting, soliciting world, a lot of tradies as well.
Project managers, yeah.
But one simple option is to just go, well, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth are the three markets that are going to get, according to my four markets that are going to get.
Calculation there.
Yeah, I'm talking about school.
Yeah.
Get back to school. But yeah, these four markets seem to be the ones that are going to get, according to Matusik, over 85, maybe 87% of Australia's future population growth. With the population growth comes the higher paying jobs. With the higher paying jobs comes the expectation that councils should do more, which means better roads, better infrastructure. As those things come in, comes cooler cafes, restaurants, bars, shopping, dining, living experiences and parks. And so it's not that Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perth are any better than any other market. It's just there's a higher concentration of wealth. And fortunately, wealth expects more if it's concentrated in an area, and the area improves.
Plus, they're paying a shitload of money to the government in tax, and so the government's got money to spend.
Without a doubt. And so one option is just to keep it simple. Review those four markets, choose one of them. And then within, let's say, Melbourne, go, well, East Melbourne's pretty expensive and $1 million doesn't get you much. But Northeast Melbourne, North Melbourne, West Melbourne, Southwest gets you a huge bang for your buck for that money. And you simply go out there and buy $1 million house. Hopefully it's on 600 square meters of land plus. Nice 3-4 bedroom, high quality brick tile slab on ground home that is low maintenance and tenant ready. You pick it up for $1 million today. You do nothing but figure out a way to hold it for the next 15 years. Sometimes rates will be 3%, maybe not again in our lifetime, but experience that, and that was a dream.
Yeah, I hope so.
Sometimes they'll be the 7% that we're all paying at the moment, but figure out a way to hold it. Keep increasing the rent slowly in line with market value, get the maximum tax benefits and treat it well. And in 15 years with 5% growth per annum, your $1 million is now $2 million. That one decision on minimum, yes. Yeah, minimum.
If done right, this is where the timing aspect comes into it for sure. Like,
you might accidentally buy at the very top of the market, and Perth up until recently sat flat for 14 years before it ran. You might just have bought Brisbane in 2011, 2008-9, and it just did nothing until 2018. So you could be very unlucky with timing. But if you're listening to this, the markets that look good to you and I is Brisbane and Melbourne right now.
Like, if I had $1 million, it's super clear to me. It's like northwest Brisbane within 12 Ks from the city, 9 to 12 Ks. you can do the math yourself. There's a bunch of great suburbs there.
Arana Hills is a great suburb to have a look at, for example.
Or southeast, like around Cleveland and you know, Ormiston and those areas as well, down in the south. Like it's super clear. Or down in Melbourne, like Altona or Altona Meadows and Point Cook, like down in those areas as well, just looks so undervalued when you look at the 10-year growth rates, compared that to the longer term averages, and you look at some of the changes that are occurring with the population growth rates, the infrastructure growth rates, the type of people that are moving there at the moment. We've got significantly above average household incomes, and those wealthy people are flocking to these locations. It's just silver bullet clear to me.
Yeah, and so that's a simple option. Like, it's not the sexiest thing. It's not going to be, like you said, waking up and making or losing 20% every morning or once a year. But it is a bread and butter strategy that will not just, imagine owning your own home outright by the time you hit retirement and it's worth $2 million bucks, and you've got this other investment that's also worth 2 mil. You downsize the home, you sell the investment based on the advice and ideas of your accountant and financial advisor, and you either end up with a shit ton of cash in the bank that you can slowly live off. You can do what our mum and dad have done, which is put it into a interest account and get it. You can do what other people have done, which is put it into stocks, or you can reinvest it in more properties, or just keep the things.
Exactly. And you know what I love most about that as well is you put a 20% deposit down the $1 million property today. You know, that's $200,000, and then over that 15-year period, if you do all of those things and you pay off the remaining $800,000, it's only cost you $200,000 on the way in. And yes, there's holding costs and interest and all of the other holding costs associated over that 15-year period, but at the end of the 15 years, you own a property that's worth over $2 million completely outright that only cost you the $200K up front.
And we've done other videos like the 2 properties and the 3 properties, the financial freedom videos, where you can like see us talk about the buying phase, the paying off debt phase, and then the freedom phase. I've also recently done another video like how to pay off your dream home outright in under 10 years. And so there is strategies and tools that we've learned from speaking to over 6,000 people that can really help you just get a better plan in place, and then with discipline and consistency implement that plan over the longer term.
And if you're someone like me that's like, you know, I don't have $1 million worth of serviceability right now, and you can go stuff yourself with your one property over 15 years. I want more than that.
I'm not interested in the one property for $1 million either.
So like the alternative is, you know, our 3 property strategy, and it's like you start with what you can afford, you know, a $500,000 or $600,000 property, bringing your you know, you start with just acquiring that one property, and over hopefully a 5-year period, if you commit to being a property investor and becoming a property investor, you know, most people that are earning slightly above average annual salary should be in a position to be able to buy those $600,000 properties over a 5-year period if done well. So you end up with $1.8 million worth of property today. Same thing, that doubles over the next 15 years if you've allocated those investments to the right markets. It becomes worth $3,750,000 15 years later. So, you know, that's obviously putting you in a much stronger financial position. It costs you an extra $800,000 today, but it makes you an extra $1.7 million over the next 15 years. So you think about that, you're $900,000 better off over the next 15 years if you go for more smaller properties.
You know, and that's just working on a 5% average annual growth rate, which is significantly below the 8.2% that Australian property's done in the last 50 years, according to Simon Presley. And, you know, we know that the capital cities, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perths might have even done a little bit more than that.
That's it. And for me as well, I want the passive income as well as the wealth. So I want, you know, I want to have the multi-million-dollar property portfolio, but also the passive income. So let's assume those 3 properties are renting for $500 per week. That's $1,500 per week combined, or $75,000 annually. 15 years later, with a compound growth rate of 2.5%, which has been the historic average, it becomes $108,000 in 15 years. So you could own $3.7 million worth of property outright, and you could have $108,000 of gross passive income if you do that. And to me, that just gives me so many choices, so much freedom. Once again, you can sell to keep the cash or reinvest it into something else. You can sell down some, keep some, or you can just kick back and relax because you've got over 100K worth of passive income coming in every single year.
I love that. And I think as I was like listening to you say that, regardless of if you want to start with one cheaper property or one more expensive property or two properties or three properties, or like so many of our clients go on to 5 or 10 properties, it really doesn't matter the number. And this is a trap that I went through. I thought, because a lot of the books that I used to read when I first started out 15, 16 years ago were all like 0 to 10 properties in 10 years. Or you hear these other people in Australia at the moment, like there's some incredibly successful young investors out there with 70, 100, 200 properties. And these guys are so incredible and inspiring, but they're so far from like the reality of what's normal. And I think the big difference in terms of what you and I want is, yeah, we want a better life financially in the future, but we want to enjoy every single day on the journey. And it's not about driving the sickest cars or, you know, doing hundreds of properties a month for clients and a few properties a month for ourselves. It's more, we want to surf, we want to train, we want to tuck our kids in every night, we want to be able to drop them to school and go to the sports carnivals, we want to be able to holiday more, and we want to do meaningful work, and we want to inspire and help people move from careers that they don't enjoy to using those skills to places that they do enjoy. And we want people to actually achieve financial freedom, not just buy heaps of shit and then completely disappear once it's all bought, because it's kind of like, well, we'll just see what happens when the water drains in the next financial crisis and see how you're going with your 15 properties in trusts that we bought when you're earning 100K per year. Like it's about so much more than just property.
I love that.
But I think 1 or 2 or 3 properties will be a minimum dose to get someone choices 15, because it's not just about getting secure in the future and financially stable in retirement. If you're starting at 30, by 45, you should have every single choice in the world if you do this stuff right. Or if you're starting at 40, you should be able to retire or get very close to it by 55 or 60 instead of being the average at 70 now.
Yeah, exactly. And I just love that you say that so much, because, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, becoming a millionaire is going to make them happy, or, you know, owning all of these properties is going to make them happy, or driving the nicer car, or flying first class, or, you know, buying the brand name stuff. Like it doesn't. And that's why we implement these types of strategies, and that's why we only choose to work with such a small number of like-minded, value-aligned people each week, because we understand that it's all about right now. Right now is the only thing that we have, and you know, you want to make sure that you enjoy that moment, and you're not, you know, thinking that this idea or this place that you'll be in the future is when you will be happy. You can be happy right now in the moment. And so it's like finding that balance between becoming, you know, financially secure and stable in the future, and being able to, you know, do the things that bring you happiness, but also not pushing that so hard that it affects your ability to enjoy the moment today.
I love that so much. And I think what I've learned more than anything else over the last 15 years of my journey is, if you take, like, it's that old saying from like The Secret, it's like, if you take that first step in faith, the whole staircase will open up. Or that idea from the guy that wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, like, you cannot physically drive in the middle of the night from Sydney to Brisbane or from Sydney to Melbourne, but you can drive the distance that the light shines, and trust that if you know where you're going, you'll end up getting there. And I think it's very, very, very similar with property. Like, there's no way in the world that 7 or 8 years ago you would have thought that you'd be sitting in the position you are now, which is earning great money, doing values meaningful work, with a property portfolio that will give you and your kids choices forever once they're owned outright, and working 4 days a week and living a lifestyle,
being able to still go on holidays, you know, like it is the dream. Like, me and my wife sat down recently when we were over in Fiji, and we're just like pinching ourselves, just going like, neither of us ever imagined this, but we took action. We were disciplined, we worked hard, but we spent that money well. And, you know, I hope some people can follow that path as well, and just be like, look, if you are a hard worker, if you've got a good work ethic and you are disciplined and you spend your money wisely, you can put yourself in a position that you never thought was achievable in such a short period of time.
And I think if you're okay, just okay in one area of your life, like there's a lot of people listening to this that are just great partners or great parents or great brothers or sisters or, you know, great children, or there's people that are really dialed in with their health, or there's people listening to this that are really dialed in their career. Whatever the thing in your life is that you're currently succeeding at, because I didn't succeed financially first. Like I figured out health first. And then once I figured out my health, I used the same discipline and consistency that I'd use for like soccer and then like training at the gym and running and stuff like that to move into property. I'm like, well, if I consistently drink the right water, sleep, eat well, move well and consistently, then I'll end up in like feeling good in the mind, body and spirit. And I think with property, it's the exact same thing. Like once you recognize that in one area of your life, no matter where you're at, you're already kicking ass, bring the best versions of those behaviors into this new one and go, well, I have a goal to be free. I have a goal to be a millionaire. I have a goal to live a life filled with choices and to become the best version of myself that I am. What do I need to do? I need to either save money or I've got the money ready to go to buy a property. Then I learn about the market, and we do so much market update style videos. You can just check out the YouTube channel or the potty. And then I've got my market, let's call it Melbourne. I like North Melbourne. I like this one suburb. Over the next 2 months, I'm going to look at everything that's sold, everything that's rented, everything that's for sale. And when the right one comes up, that's not on a main road, that's got a good sized piece of land with a good quality home on it, I'm going to take a punt and absolutely shit myself for a while until I get used to it. And then at some point, the rent's going to go up, the debt's going to come down a bit, and I'm going to feel okay with this. And trust me, you will feel okay with it at one point or another. Like the idea of you or I owning 4 properties each was so scary once, but one step at a time it becomes achievable and your entire life changes.
That's it, exactly. You know, there's a saying from the richest man in Babylon, which is the goddess of luck favors men of action. And so get out of your own way and step into action, but take calculated action as well. You know, don't go make those emotional decisions. If you're listening to this, you're doing the right things, because I'm assuming we're not the only, YouTube that you're watching or podcast that you're listening to. So you're already winning if you're listening to this and you're already heading in the right direction. But it is also, taking off those layers and also just stepping into action and making it happen.
And what I would love to say to everyone is, like the Denzel Washington thing, when you get there, turn around and pull the next group of people up. Try and bring your friends and family members that want to come on the ride with you to becoming their best selves with you. Like if you're an engineer and you don't need to work in the future because you figured out a way to replace 100 or 200K a year, then put that into serving the world. Like if you're a business coach, like we work with heaps of business coaches, and you've got to like churn through lots of people a year if you're doing a small fee for service, or if you're working with like a small, like some people we work with like 3 or 4 people for 100K a year each. It's like once you do not need the money anymore, use those skills that you've developed on the way to help the next batch of people is what I think it's all about. Like pay it forward, support everybody in your life, plus the people that are worst off in society, to do better and to be better. And I believe by being kind, by being consistent, by being disciplined, for me, by being healthy and having a strong faith, like shit just ends up working out. Even the hardest things that I've gone through on this journey, and some of the worst things have happened, like houses burning down and stuff, like I still believe it's all happening for a reason. And I still believe the reason is so that more and more and more of us can get financially free, living a life filled with choices, setting our kids up, being secure in the future, and helping as many people around us become their best selves as well.
Because there was that one person that was there for you in the beginning, and whether that's through a book, a podcast, a YouTube video, a mentor, a family member, a friend, there was that one person for you. Be that one person for somebody else in the future as well, and pay it forward, because we want the rising tide to lift all ships. And that's a major reason why we show up every single week and do these videos and podcasts, let alone it's fun as.
Yeah, I love doing it.
But at the same time, it gives us the ability to, you know, pay it forward and to pass this knowledge that we've acquired over the years onto other people to help you avoid making mistakes and make more confident decisions, and be able to share this with the right person that needs to hear it at the moment as well.
Love it, bro. G'day guys, my name's Ben and I'm the director here at Pumped on Property, and I just want to say a massive thank you for watching our content today. Now, if you're thinking about buying an investment property in the next 3 to 12 months, then the team and I would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. In that session, we can talk about exactly where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term, and we can deeply educate you on the Australian market. And then you can take that information and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the small number of clients that we work with each week. To book your session, all you have to do is go to www.pumpedonproperty.com and click that book your free strategy session button. But either way, we wish you all the best on your journey as an investor to financial freedom.